Welcome back to the J3 Collab Project. And today I have the pleasure and privilege of having with us Samantha Mitchell. And she has a very impressive resume. Many of you may actually recognize her from being on other programs, but she is a transformative professional speaker, best-selling author, internationally recognized leadership expert, and trailblazer in the aerospace industry with over 25 years of experience, as well as being the founder and president of Black Women in Aviation. So we are going to be having a great conversation with her, and I give you a warm welcome, Samantha. Thank you for being here with us today.
Thank you so much for having me, Johnny. It's a pleasure to be here with you all today. Thank you.
So a lot to talk about, and I'm just going to try to make sure I start with the most basic is Black women in aviation. Tell me, what is this all about?
So, Black Women in Aviation is a representation of the Samanthas in the world, right? So, the aviation industry, it holds less than 1% of Black females. And Johnny, one of the things that I realized over the years was I never really associated with being a Black female. I just showed up as being a hard worker. And it wasn't until I was going through my personal development journey that I birthed my book, The Three Keys to Unlock and Unleash My Confidence, which then led to speaking. And it was through the speaking, just the practices of speaking and working with my coach and more self development that I went through just a phase where I was trying to get additional clarity. And in seeking clarity, I discovered that I am Black women in aviation. And part of what that means is that because the small percentages that exist, I have to now be that person that shows up for the Samanthas that are within the next generation of future aviators. Like, how do they show up as their authentic selves? How do they show up strong and bold in a space where they're underrepresented? And so, Black Women in Aviation was birthed because I wanted to really just be able to create the space for these next generation of aviators as well as those who are in the field, because retention is a big deal and a lot of people will get into the space, but it's a tough industry to withstand. And so they'll get out because they don't have that grit and the tenacity to stay there. And so really just making sure that we're addressing those who are in it to retain them, as well as those who are coming up through the pathways as well.
Wow, that is just really impressive. What inspired you initially to choose, aviation when you were looking at a career path? Tell us a little bit about that.
This is one of my favorite questions. And so I really was lost back in high school and I had no idea what I wanted to be. And I looked at everyone else and I felt like they had it all together. They were going away to college and I had no clue. I just knew that I loved working with my hands. So I wanted to get into something that required a hands-on experience. And I told myself that I was going to be an auto mechanic. And with saying that to myself and getting ready for college senior year, I got a brochure from Vaughan College of Aeronautics. And the brochure was about their aviation maintenance technician program. And I kind of got into a space where I was like, aircraft maintenance, auto mechanic. And I was like, that's way cooler. Like I took my first flight when I was 7 and I was just amazed by the experience. And aviation just from that moment, that was where I was like, I think this is it. And so I applied and got into the college. And, from being in that space to pursuing a full-time career in aviation, it's one of those spaces where I feel like I belong, but I don't belong. And when I say that, what I mean is like I've identified that I'm here because I'm the chosen one to help those who want to be here, because I feel like so many people will miss the opportunity to be in this space because they don't think it's for them. They think it's for other people. And so it's my assignment for me to be in this space and to stay in this space so that others could see it as an opportunity for them to pursue the aviation pathways as well.
Wow. I compared you. I kind of mentioned this when I spoke with your husband Devon when we had him on. You're really, to me, what the first thing I thought of is also another inspirational experience and part of history is the story of Hidden Figures, right? The movie about Katherine Johnson and NASA, and stories that without them being shared and told do literally become hidden, right? And I think what you've done is a modern day version of that, and it's to me it's very impressive. So when they make the motion picture, just remember the little people, and I'll definitely say, hey, I had it on my platform because I do think what you're doing uh, is really making an impact, and so I think I commend you for it. I think it's inspirational for sure, and I'm sure our viewers are really going to find that perhaps hey, this is something that I can possibly look into myself, especially with your organization and Black women's in aviation and what you're doing with them. Talking about your husband, it's only fair to mention a little bit of how did you connect with Devon. I know that similarly you had shared interests in aviation. So tell us a little bit about how you both met.
So aviation brought us together. I mean, when I really think about it, aviation is a big part of my life. And it's been like that for quite some time, more than half my life, to be honest. And Devon and I met in college. And, he's a little more seasoned than I am. But with him going through his collegiate career, as well as me going through mine at the time, it was like a friendship that really just evolved where we had some common interests. And post college, like Devon stuck around. He was look, Johnny, full transparent conversation. Devon was persistent. Being a female in a male dominated school, right? Like the school prepared me for the industry, but Devon saw one of the few females and he took a liking to me, and I had options, but I also knew that like I was really focused on what I was doing in school, and so I really tried to minimize the amount of distraction. But Devon pretty well, and he's a persistent guy, and so his
Yes.
persistence eventually paid off to where married. It's like 14 years, been together 20 something years, and we have two kids together, and just multiple businesses. And I mean, he's my best friend and my husband and my business partner and all of the things. So I commingle him into pretty much all of my endeavors. He's a really great person to have by my side.
Yeah, that's awesome. I always like to get both sides of the story, and it definitely brings a lot more color. And we really appreciate you both. You're a great couple. One thing that Devon expressed in our previous conversation was also that your fitness journey was the beginning of many changes in your family life and professionally. Can you tell us about that from your perspective?
Sure. So, I like to say that I grew up with my fitness journey, and my transformation was visible to like just around everyone around me. And part of it, like I saw with the family, they witnessed what was going on and they wanted to be a part of it. And when I got into it, I mean, full transparency, I was really just focused on myself, just losing the baby weight, all of that stuff. And it wasn't my intent to really build a community, but I saw it with the like our close family and friends who they wanted to be a part of what I was doing because they saw the pivot in the way that I showed up, where my confidence was versus how it was before. And Devon, we call him the optimizer. He saw it on a small scale, and he was like, "How do we get this grander?" And I'm more risk averse, of course. There has to be one person that is, and I was like, "What are you talking about?" Like this is good. I'm enjoying my journey. I'll help a couple of people, just some light coaching, and he absolutely 10x'd it, and he brought the Anytime Fitness franchise into our life, which was a amazing pivot, and just the opportunities there to be able to expand the impact. Right, it comes down to impact. It started with me, but with opening up the our club, now we're able to touch so many more people, and then also with remote being able to touch people remotely as well. So he really was just able to optimize what I thought was mom losing the baby weight to a whole business and community impact and really just being able to change lives. Because like I believe that our facility has changed lives. Like I feel that in my heart. So I'm honored to be a part of it and to have Devon be the visionary behind it because it wasn't me with regards to seeing that big picture.
That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that with us. I want to touch a little bit on, how you have continued to share your inspiration and motivation with others, specifically with your published book, which is Three Keys to Unlock and Unleash Your Confidence. And wanted to just kind of share a little with our audience what that particular publication will help, and what is it that you are trying to kind of call to action, so to speak, with your recent publication.
So the book is really it's about my journey. It's for me and for all the people with a mindset that was like mine prior to getting in the space of personal development. And what I mean is, like, I look at personal development as it's it's a required tool for success. And prior to me really getting on that journey, I didn't realize that. Like, I thought I just had to work hard. Like, I didn't understand the level of self work, the level of self awareness that's required. Like, I didn't know who I was as a person. I know how I show up, but I didn't have the clarity behind myself as an individual. And so with the book, it really comes down to helping individuals to identify who they truly are so that they could show up as themselves in a confident space. And really, the confidence for me, it stemmed from the aviation pathways. And because confidence is a skill, like I always needed to work harder than the person next to me because I had to show up as fully competent all of the time. Not some of the time, but all of the time. So I was always working. And so the book really, it goes to show like when you incorporate your personal development with the skills that you have, how you're really, like you're on the trajectory for success. So there's we look at your mindset and how you formulate the mindset to eliminate the negative thoughts and those the imposter syndrome, and then also what behaviors and rituals do you need to put yourself in full action, because so many of us, we have the thoughts, but the gap between the thoughts and the action, it gets wider as the time progresses. And so really just
Yes.
ensuring that from the moment you think about something, you put a plan in place and like a daily routine to ensure that you're staying true to that dream that you have. Because if you could dream it, then it can be your reality.
Awesome. And we will have a link on our page so that you can actually get your own copy on Amazon, paperback or Kindle. And, again, we'll definitely give all our support because your message is very much needed. And I think that we can definitely see that there needs to be more of, examples like yourself. It should not be the exception, but more of the norm. And that's what we're hoping for. Um, One thing that I really got inspired by, and I know we talked about this prior to us starting our conversation, is that you mentioned something about a scholarship. And, I think that really shows, again, a lot of your pay it forward attitude. Can you share a little bit about what you're looking to do?
Sure. So, Black women in aviation, one of the thoughts that I had, because like I have the thoughts too, and I was like, how do I bring this thought into an action? I wanted to be able to provide funding. Aviation is an expensive industry, and college is expensive. So, I wanted to be able to open up the opportunities for Black women who are first generation aviators to be able to get assistance so that they can see the reality behind the aviation and to minimize the amount of blockers that are there for them. But Johnny, what's different with this is, I went to college and look, it took me 5 years for my 4 year degree. So I was on a slower path because of funding. So I get it when it comes on to funding. But what I didn't have in college also was coaching. Like I feel it's really important, even when you give someone funding, you need to be able to coach them along, like really work on their mindset, their behaviors, and their actions, and to steer them to the path to make their dreams a reality. So the candidates that are going to be awarded the scholarship are also going to get coaching, and we're in the preliminary stages of it, but this is something that is so near and dear to my heart that like I am the coach that will do it because I really want to be able to set these individuals up for success, and I'm super excited about it. So I'm willing to manipulate my schedule however I see fit so that I can really charge up these next generation of future aviators because I'm excited to see them throughout the path and just where they're going to go.
That's special. It really is because it's one thing to put the money out, right? But it's another thing to give your time, and that's one thing I really want to, give my, sincerest, I guess gratitude to you because a lot of times in with the J3 Collab project, I think it's one of the things that we really look for are individuals that are not just in positions of power or authority or success, but are actually willing to roll up their sleeves and help the communities that they're a part of and that they serve, and that's exactly what you're doing. So I really commend you for that because that really means a lot. So kudos to you, and we wish you the best success with that opportunity. And I'm sure whoever is the recipient, if it's more than one or if whoever that is, are going to really be benefited and blessed with that. As we kind of wrap things up, and I want to respect your time, um, how do the individuals watching our program reach out to you? What's the best way? Feel free to share, any of your social media platforms so that they can find you and continue to follow your journey.
Sure. So I'm on LinkedIn, Samantha T. Mitchell. Also, Black Women in Aviation is on Instagram. So Black Women in Aviation on Instagram, as well as Black Women in Aviation on Facebook. I'm working. Look, I think by the time, we talk about action, the LinkedIn, we're going to get a LinkedIn for Black women in aviation. So that'll be in the pipeline, but it'll be the same thing. And we have our Black Women in Aviation website as well as Samantha T. Mitchell website. So we have a couple of different options for you to get in touch with us. So you get to choose.
Awesome. And we'll definitely share that with everyone on our platforms as well to give our full support. Any final thoughts or message you'd like our viewers to take away from, this conversation we've had today, and kind of what should they be doing if they actually think, this may be something I'd like to pursue? What are some steps they can take today to kind of work toward that goal?
So if there's anything that any of our viewers are that are watching today want to do, the first step is really that realization that you truly want to do it and identifying why you want to do it. Because I promise you, life will get challenging and you are not going to want to persevere. And so I challenge you to push. And so for me, push is to persevere until something happens. And so it's really important that, despite the obstacles, you're aware of what it is that you want, why you want it, and just be able to push through so that you can achieve what it is that you're looking to get, whether it be franchising, collaborating with J3, you're getting into Anytime Fitness, starting your own business, whatever it is that you're thinking about, the possibility is for you. And so you just have to push through to be able to attain it.
Excellent. Well, Samantha, we definitely will be following your journey and your path. As you have events coming up with Black women in aviation, please keep us posted. We definitely would love to be able to continue to, showcase what you're doing so that more individuals have access to leaders like yourself that kind of are living proof that these things don't have to be a dream, but they have to be strategically planned out, and having leaders like yourself providing the tools and the support really is something that we get behind. So thank you again for your time, for your mission, your inspiration for the community, and we look forward to having you back on for sure as you continue to have growth with your group, And we hope that you continue to have many blessings and continued success.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Johnny. Thank you and J3 for having me. It's been a pleasure.